Alrighty-o, people. This isn't no fashion show. I'm sitting here thinking, smoking as usual, drinking my tea. I'm taking a break. I got up into my room today, which is not a bedroom, it's more like a storage room. And I'm dusting and vacuuming, moving things around, making a mental inventory. It's really quite funny because after this I'm going to just do a little sweep. I'm going to give you a little peek, right? And just to show you what I'm up against. Right now I'm taking out boxes, right? They're about, well, they vary in size really. Maybe this long, maybe this high, maybe about that wide, and a few other ones, right? I'll stack them up, you'll see them, I'll show them to you one day. And it has all the information that I gathered along the way in terms of nonprofit gaming enforcement branch legislation and all that other kind of crap. And things I tried to do in envelopes, you know. Health board, when you're doing a park event, right, you need to be working with the health board, so I have an envelope for that. And then they go in a box and then they start to pile up, right? Well, so anyway, I took them out of my room. It's only like 2 or 3 boxes so far. I can't take everything out of my room. I can't even get to everything in my room. I have behind this chair a bunch of briefcases stacked up, right? Like there's like 3 of them, I think, and they all signify something different. It's just I don't have an office, so I can never really get to them. Obviously, nonprofit is one. You know, making costumes and that kind of stuff is 2. That would be my business that I never do. But I'm sitting here thinking, well, you know, my dad, he got pretty lucky. We know he's not a Charlie, okay? Because if he was a Charlie, his watch wouldn't be working right now. If you look here, hold on. You can see the little hand moving, right? I washed it in the washing machine. He had it in his pants. So that's how I know he's not a Charlie yet. His watch isn't ticking yet. But, you know, I have to think about the day when he's not going to be here, right? And like, I have established, here's that word provisions again, right? To compensate for trying to create myself gainful employment. To some degree. To what degree, I don't know, but to something anyway, right? We know that the house and the yard, especially if I can get a handle on the yard, would be a very good yard to, if I wanted to do part-time daycare, it would be a great yard for something like that. Once the infrastructure is complete and the maintenance of the yard itself in terms of weeds and grass cutting, that type of stuff, is, you know, fluent and down to a minimal. Right now it's still out of control. Things are still being built and, you know, there's patches of morning glory that's just like growing ridiculously. But I've got some composting dirt that's actually been composting for a few years now. So it's probably ready to use, right? So I guess you could call those raised beds. I'm going to make a couple of raised beds and gut them. Take out the dirt and start making plans for new dirt, right? That's a lot of work. For somebody that never knows if they could pay the rent on time anymore. So, I don't know, people. I went to the thrift store the other day. I paid $12, okay? Like seriously, $12. $12.99, $13 plus tax. My son's coming upstairs to do the computer, so he's supposed to reformat it for me. Because I want to do some, what's it called? Live video hangouts. Something like that. So I found my mic and I got a cheap little, you know, to camcord. My computer's getting reformatted. So once that's all done, I'm going to set it up and then I'm going to try and start a little hangout. Obviously, I want to talk more about the nonprofit. That's why I'm here, you know. And so we'll just get it going and then try and build on it and try that venue for a while. But back to living in this house and, you know, having that incident with my dad, right, where, you know, everything's in limbo right now. And he's sitting there waiting for me, looking out a window, apparently, waiting for the kids. Yesterday, my kids went to go see him, and he was just kind of moping around in his wheelchair. My daughter helped him to go to the bathroom at one point, and when it was time to go, he just asked to be left by the window. And my daughter said, "Oh no, it feels like one of those horror movies where you're just sitting at the window looking out, right, like the gatekeeper kind of thing, you know." So, I'm gonna have to get him out of there soon. I don't think he can be there for very long. So I'm kind of like just going around and taking this opportunity to do that mental inventory. You know, you have to remember, I don't have a storage room. I don't have a foyer. I don't really technically have a real porch that's enclosed. So tools and, you know, miscellaneous stuff like that, that category, they have to go into bins, and then I have to find places to put the bins. And I can't put them outside because, you know, that little one shed on the other side is like molding up. I put the plastic in there. I don't know why it's full of water, but it's like it's going to be a real chore to gut that one. That's another video. This side is fairly dry, but, you know, I've got wood in there and stuff like that for spring, right? I didn't want it to get rained on, so, I mean, I don't have room to put bin in there, and even then, you know, I'd be kind of, you know, a little leery about it, because if somebody wanted to break into that, it would be very easy, and they can just walk off with the whole bin, and I'm out of whatever it is that, you know, houses require in terms of, you know, brackets and you know, painting tape and things that you pick up along the way for a house, right? I have like several bins too. Plus. And I'm in my room. I need to do my paperwork. It's too hard to do it in my grandson's room, and there's not enough room. And that's not what I want to use his room for. That's his room, right? So the less I do my paperwork in his room, the better it is for him. So I'm trying to get into my table and clear off my table, because what happened was, I'm having to play catch up here, right? Because when Andre was taken away, basically what I was doing in my room in those days was bills monthly, because I like to have everything figured out by the end of the month, stapled and filed away. And then I was probably working on the nonprofit to some degree. And that was my routine with my table and my computer in my room. Right? And then Andre was taken, right? And that just it just kind of was like a tornado that came in and mixed everything up, and all of a sudden I was doing all this paperwork for Andre, trying to get him back. I spent thousands of dollars, people, on that. One day I'm going to go through all the receipts, add them up, and close that ledger. And organize everything that I have, put it away. Don't forget, I got those big binders that I had made, right? For the judge, the crown, the defense, and then my lawyer, right? And then I needed an extra copy for myself, so that was 5. I was doing multiples of 5 for some of this stuff, getting ready to go to court and get my grandson back. So that's when the bills started piling up, and everything just got all mixed up, and, you know, and non-profit paperwork got kicked off to the side, and my room just became more and more of a storage room. And then, you know, somebody comes along and they're rooting around on my table, and, you know, or maybe I'm rooting around on the table, and things are getting even more scattered. And, well, that's what I'm cleaning up right now. 2 years of mess that's been just moved around. and I'm trying to, you know, put Andre's paperwork with Andre's paperwork, with, you know, the nonprofit paperwork, you know, in priority. Like, this stuff that I'm pulling out can go into a big bin, and then that bin can go downstairs, so that if I ever need, oh, I know where the gaming enforcement branch, you know, bylaws are. I know, I just go downstairs, pull out the bin, and find the envelope. Right? So that's, it gets a little bit of stuff out of my room, right? Not much, but it gets a little bit of it. Got a lot of fabric in there, people. Oh. I have not been sewing for years. And because of that, the fabric is just accumulating even more than what I already got. Because every now and then, you know, I go to the thrift store or wherever and I find little bits and pieces for this and that. So I really want to get back into my sewing because I know I can make money there. It's just a matter of having the time to do it. You know, I got costumes. I'm just talking here, okay? I got costumes that are hanging up in my room, literally, taking up space. I can't even get to one dresser because I have nowhere to hang them up. I can't put them downstairs because nothing is ever really, you know, there's too much traffic that goes through there, and it's just the way the basement is. And, you know, we've had strangers try and just walk right in, and more than one, right? You know, just some crazy shit goes on down there. Just in and out, in and out. So, you know, we get people coming into our garage looking for things all the time. And if they, you know, they've opened up the door to get into the laundry room, and there's somebody already standing in the laundry room. I've had somebody try and take off the hinges from the inside of the laundry room to get into the inside. So you can see what I'm saying. There's really no, I have to be very selective what I put downstairs in the basement in terms of, well, if I lose it, don't cry a river. You know, anything of value, or like I bought 2 snakes. One was 25 feet long and the other one was 15. I can't find them. So, you know, if I put my axe down there and my sledgehammer, I can almost guarantee you within 6 months, because I wouldn't be needing it, so I wouldn't be looking for it, but the day I'd need it, I'd go look for it and it would be freaking gone. So it's upstairs and it takes up space up here, right? It's in this little spare bathroom that nobody uses because that's the storage room. And that's where I keep my axe and my sledgehammer, right? In case I need it for the yard, right? Because I do sometimes, especially the sledgehammer. So, the reason I'm doing the video, though, is because, oh yes, I bought these beautiful earrings, remember? And, you know, I don't know about my dad's clock ticking, but I know mine is ticking here, so I kind of wanted to spruce up some of my videos. You know, I'm tired of always having to, you know, maybe I do it like unconsciously, you know how you like to play the victim, you know, oh, woe is me, the porch is leaking, oh, woe is me, the bathroom isn't done, oh, woe is me, you know, the government is trying to put their dirty fingers into my dad's pension plan by charging him for health care, or, oh, woe is me, you know, I haven't gotten my rent yet from both my daughters, and, oh, woe is me, you know, I noticed out in the ground here just yesterday, with all this water coming in from my neighbor's yard with his no drainage tiles, he's making the worms in the ground swim. Because what's happening is, I guess they're getting so entrenched with water, and worms they're not a water creature. You know, they can live in water, but they don't exist in water like a fish, right? There's a reason why they're in dirt, right? And more than half of my yard, I got these little piles of dirt that obviously the worm has been pushing up in order for it to breathe, right? Making a little, you know, whatever, like a little mound, right? And it's all over my yard. And that's because it's so wet out there, it's almost like a freaking puddle, so that by the time the water actually drains out and goes down wherever, which is a problem, drain, but that's another day, it's just inundating this yard. I can cry on about that forever, and it's not going to change anything. You know, my landlady says, oh, well, the guy says kick you out, and he'll get a new tenant in here for her. He'll pick the tenant, a better one than me, right? Just so that he doesn't have to fix his drainage tiles. Because I've got crap around the yard. You know, she's a messy woman. She got pipes, and, you know, she's got wood, and, you know, and she's got this, and, you know, it's all just scattered around right now, and, like, you know, who's she to talk? Well, sure, I got drainage pipes that if I have time, I'm going to put a little one in there. I already discussed that, just to help with the water flow. But this dude next door with no fucking tiles, right? All his water, all of it is coming into my yard, down into a problematic drain that if it gets clogged, it backs up into my basement. And of course, my landlady is afraid that the city's going to come by complaining about, well, you got plywood in your yard and pallets, and you got drainage pipes, and and you've got the screen, and and it looks like you got a few rocks kicked around here. But I mean, what are they going to say? They're not stupid. They obviously can see that I'm working on something, right? That's what I tell her. Don't worry about it. They know if I wasn't working on things, then I could understand it, right? But I'm building things, and I've actually built quite a bit since I've been here. I don't know how that qualifies me to be a bad tenant. But anyway, you get the point, right? If I sat up here and cried on about every freaking bad thing that happens to me in my life, and how I'm hanging in the balance of it, I already told my landlady today, let's not fight. Let's worry about the porch in the spring. I showed her a filter for the air vents, and I said, can we, if I'm here, if I'm in this house next winter, before turn on the heat, let's clean the vents. And she said yes. Okay? So that's good. The porch we'll deal with in the spring because it's funky. Because it doesn't have no to slide the water off, so we don't know what to put up there that's, not too expensive, so that the water just, whatever, you can't just put wood. It will just rot after 2-3 years. Right? You have to cover it with something. And you can't put roofing material because there's not enough slant. The water will just back up. So there's no point in doing that. So, the point is, I don't want to come to the camera and bitch about this stuff all the time. And, it's very easy to get on that bitch fest. It is. Especially when you're stressed out like I am. And you can never seem to get a handle on it. But, that's half life. You just keep trying, right? That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm in my room right now, trying to get to my table so I can get on with my paperwork and get caught up with the taxes and get caught up with nonprofit taxes and get back into that monthly, da-dee-dee-da, right? And start the budget so that, when my dad does finally pass on, I won't lose the house immediately. Because I told my landlady today, if something serious would have really happened and he would have died, and I didn't have enough money for the rent in terms of $1,650 in total, right off the top. No, I told her what my minute budget was, and that I would have to make my rent payments in two payments within the month, in order to at least cover the rent. And that's pretty dire. Last night I was in my sewing room. I was almost going to bring the camera into the sewing room, but I'm like, what do I want to talk about? Well, I kind of want to talk about at some point here. I'm going to get back to the earrings, right? Because I was in my sewing room, right? And I bought this little $12 bag of junk jewelry. And I'll tell you what was in that $12 bag of junk jewelry. And what is going to provoke here. Because I do want to get off the bandwagon of always being negative. I don't want to point out the negative in life all the time. And because we live in such a negative society, right, it's very easy to get caught up in that situation. So, taking care of the porch, we'll just deal with it in the spring, live with it for now. So yeah, I'll walk you through, show you the problem, but it ain't going to change anything until spring, right? Same thing with this yard. I told my landlady, don't worry about it, because come spring, fall, like spring and summer, all this junk that this person next door seems to think has no value will be basically used up and put where it's supposed to be, right? And there's going to be some, I wouldn't call them minor and I wouldn't call them major changes in the yard, but it ain't going to be nothing that this bozo over here can say, well, look at you, No, buddy, fix your drainage tiles. You either fix your drainage tiles or I'll call the city. If my landlady can't do it, I'll do it. Right? So that's another bitch gone, right? I just deal with it when the time comes. So anyway, I want to talk about, though, capitalism. How capitalism creates racism. But I'm going to have to do it in increments, right? Several videos. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it under one because it's complicated. But while I do it, though, I kind of want to make it at arm's length so that it's not race specific to anyone in particular. I just want to talk about the objectives behind how racism institutionalizes itself into our society, whether by fault or whether by default. You know, just people don't know and it's just the way it is, or, you know, if they're purposely doing it, well, I guess that's why we have professors, so they can analyze those things. But in the meantime, I think before we can move on with the nonprofit, for those that are interested in the nonprofit, because that's why I'm here. I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing for my life, but it is what it is, right? I think we have to deal with the subject of racism, right? So that we can start healing as a society and start working together as a society versus as a capitalistic you know, layman's terms, easy, you know, dog eat dog world. You know, we can do better. We can do better than that. And we need to stop fooling ourselves and pretending that racism doesn't exist and control our behavior in today's society, right? So I want to talk about that stuff. You know, I used to say back in the day, I want to bring out the book and, you know, like some books, right? You know, some encyclopedias and that kind of stuff. And you get your root word, right? So the root word is race, and then it goes into races, and when you break it all up, and it goes into this language, and then goes into that language. You know, just kind of do a little bit of, you know, study up on the subject a bit. But while I'm doing it, you know, life is short for me too, right? You know, I don't always want to look like a ragamuffin. I'm allowing you to see me right now as a ragamuffin because I'm working pretty hard around here. But, you know, for me to put on some earrings and, you know, do my hair and put on a nice little shirt, at least, right? You don't have to care what's in the bottom there unless I stand up. But, you know, something shiny. I like shiny things, right? So, a little bit of lipstick. Well, members and friends, you know, and peoples and foes. You know, what do you think about this? Hey, today I'm wearing blue. You know, tomorrow I might be wearing purple, right? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in terms of trying to communicate on a YouTube channel. But I don't ever get to go out anymore, and there's no reason for me to dress up. You know, mothers usually don't. And I'm still very much stuck in that mother stage. But, you know, I want to break away from that negativity, right? So, you know, where is the harm in, well, like the next video, I want to address racism in a capitalistic society. So I should take the time, at least, well, like I'm like a stripper, right? I could be ready in 5 minutes and you wouldn't recognize me. Where we go? So, you know, I have those facial features, right? Some of us are blessed with it, some of us maybe not so much, right? But, you know, I ain't out of the race yet, right? In terms of, you know, I can be a good looker too, right? So, you know, like, people get dressed up to go to work all the time, you know, like, lawyers get dressed up, they have their nice suits, and, you know, they have their pantyhose, and, you know, their nice little heels, and, you know, they you know, and then people, like, you know, lots of people, you go to the mall, and you go to the clothing store, and, you know, the people there, they're all nicely dressed up. Everybody's dressed up when they go to work. Why? Well, this is like work for me, so why shouldn't I get dressed up? So, and I've been trying to tell myself this for a while because I want to bring some laughter into these videos. You know, if I dress up real funny, you might laugh, right? And, you know, just chuckle. At least you'll chuckle on the way out, right? And that will be good, right? Because I don't plan on, you know, I might do something funny because you know, over the years, like I say, you know, I've shopped at thrift stores, whatever. I find things lots of times, right? And I just bag everything up, and I got like little things that I, you know, have. You know, little, what do you call those things? You know, I got all kinds of stuff. Well, members and friends, peoples and foes, neighbors and professionals. So I'm in my sewing room, opened up this bag, started going through this bag. They had a set of earrings that was on a tag. They were trying to sell these things for $25 for the one pair. And I could believe it because they're quite nice. And I'm looking forward to wearing them. I just have to get the courage to put them on and then get on camera while members and friends, this is what I'm looking like today. You know, it's like, it will be a big contrast to what you've been seeing. Right? And I don't know. There was like, it was amazing. I'm talking like earrings, like the kind I like. Like seriously, like 8 pairs of the big ones, and then the little ones, and then and they're from India, right? So they're really nice. And then necklace with matching earrings, like 2 or 3 of those. Oh my God! I got something like $300-400 worth of jewelry. 300 for sure, for like $13 plus tax. All I could think of, I think I found that bag first, whoever, because this came from a thrift store, people, right? And I don't shop at this thrift store very often, and every now and then I look for those bags, but they're charging so much for these grab bag things that it's not even, worth buying anymore. But for some reason, something said, go look, right, on your way out, because I bought a bit of fabric at 50% off. And I seen this bag, and I only seen one set of earrings that would match. I seen enough glitter in the bag. It was only $13, and I thought, oh, to hell with it, just buy it. So, but when after I got home, a couple days later, got into the bag and opened up the bag and seen what was in the bag, and realized the dollar amount as if you were to like $25 a pair, right? All I could think of was whoever bagged up that bag knew what they were doing. They stuck it wherever they stuck it, hoping that the customers wouldn't buy it, and then they would come back and buy it for themselves. I just happened to get there first. Yeah, I think so. I think there was something a little shady about that bag. But, for me, it was just go look and, oh, well, here's an opportunity. You haven't bought one of these in a long time. And I hadn't, because, they're starting to charge too much for these grab bag things. But this one, so I got all these beautiful earrings anyway, people. And, of course, I have other earrings that, I never get to wear, right? I used to wear them when I was a little younger and my life wasn't so complicated, When I was younger, I used to go out at least once a week and go dance. So I got to dress up and go to discotheque, right? But other than that, so anyway, I think I have to find some courage, though, right? Because I know it's a contrast. But it may help with the transitional stage of trying to break away from the negative that overwhelms my life, basically. See, that's a negative. I'm projecting negativity out to you. And I know I'm not the only one. I know lots of people are tired, right? For various reasons, just life, right? You get bombarded with it, right? And I do want to try this live stuff at some point. I'll find the courage for that. I do want to talk about the nonprofit and building on the infrastructure of it. I don't know if I'm going to successfully find anyone to help me with the office end of it. Hold on. Okay, so no matter what's going on in my life, I'm going to try and put on a brave new face, wear these beautiful earrings that I got, try and talk about subjects that are important in today's term so that we can move forward as a society, based on the fact for me that there is this foundation that I work on and try and establish, you know, some form of network, because I can't keep making videos if it's not going to produce results for the nonprofit. There is no point. You know, I can't imagine sitting here in 5 to 10 years from now talking about the same kind of stuff. I want to be past that point. I want to be at the point in 5 years from now where we have millions of dollars, you know, being transported around the continent as a societal support system to the larger issues at hand within communities across, you know, the United States, Canada, and then we'll see where it goes from there. That's just the type of nonprofit I work on. And getting those earrings, you know, it's kind of like a good omen, a good sign, you know, because I get a lot of those too, right? And I'm going to take that opportunity. I don't know what it's going to be like to, oh, there's my son. Hold on. Okay, so he's going to come back at 8 and do my computer for me. And he's going to help me to set up that hangout situation, right? So that, you know, we can do this live maybe with a couple of other people and just let the conversation go with the flow, right? But in the meantime, you know, a sign came to me and said, well, here's like $350 worth of jewelry. You know, don't be afraid to dress up. You know, don't be hello people. You know, this is what we're going to talk about today. And, you know, this is the progress that we've made. And, you know, this is where we're at. And, you know, and yes, we've got all these other things going on, you know, regardless of whether I lose my house or I don't. I already told my landlady, you know, if I have to, I'll give it to you in increments, two payments until I can budget it out, right? She said, well, about the kids? And I said, yeah, you know, obviously, but you know, we just don't have that stability in the house yet in terms of, you know, like I said, my daughter, you know, has full benefit package, but now her hours are being cut because everybody's in hours in the company there where she works are being cut. Like, how does that make any sense? So, until I know my daughter can pay her rent every month on time, you know, it's gonna be rocky boat, right? But it doesn't mean that I can't, you know, maybe make myself more presentable, I guess you could say, you know, and live a little, right? I don't get to wear these beautiful earrings in the discotheque, but I get to wear them on YouTube because they're mine. They're mine, people. I ain't ready to give them up. No. So I'm going to leave it on that note, and what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to take you into my room and just give you a quick sweep so you can see how my room is being used as a storage room and what I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to focus on getting my computer working. And then, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I'll clean off that wipeout board. And we're going to talk about how capitalism, that's how we're going to start, how capitalism creates racism in our society. And we're going to start with that. And I'm going to bring in Christy Clark's AAA credit rating board. I have it over here. I move it all the time before I have to get into my sewing. I have to move this board. So I'm always thinking about Christy Clark and her AAA credit rating. So I'm going to bring out that board because when you have pensioners having to pay for health care while their pension is already accounted for in terms of the cost of living, then we're getting into debt slavery, right? Which is still within the category of capitalism. And as I was telling my landlady about you know, what's been happening with my dad and how it's put us into a very precarious position, right? She mentioned that he's not a homeowner. Like, she asked, well, he's not a homeowner. He's just on a pension by himself without owning a home. and therefore he shouldn't have to pay for health care. So she kind of was like saying, well, if you're a homeowner, it's worse. There's more obligation for you to pay because you're the homeowner. And looking at it from her perspective, she's right. That is not any more acceptable, in my opinion. And of course, there's a debate out there, and that's why we have politics and a two-party system, right? Basically. You know, so what? You sell your home to pay for your medical costs, your recovery, you know, that type of thing. Is that how that works? I'm not a homeowner, but I could see how they could be preyed upon as well when you're thinking about a universal healthcare system and what it means for society. So anyway, I'm going to bring out the wipeout boards, make an effort to put on a pair of earrings and comb my hair and, you know, maybe put on some lipstick and that kind of thing. And just, you know, even if it's just for, I don't know, I kind of tend to drag my videos out, but however long, we'll just go with the flow. And then from that point forward, you know, I don't know, maybe we can somehow just build in a conversation around how the nonprofit could help to correct some of the issues that are being exposed, right, through capitalism, you know, and having AAA credit ratings and at what cost, right, and who pays. Because when my dad is paying for his extended care within the healthcare system, right, regardless of whether he got released from the hospital, he still went into another hospital setting, but because they've worded it differently and put it under a different section through their freaking legislation, it doesn't qualify under the Fraser Healthcare to pay for that service. That affects everybody, regardless of race. So how about we just leave it at that? And I'll take you to my room. I'll show you what I'm doing. And then the next video, I'll have a pair of earrings on. Okay, so there's my other computer. Like I said, everything all got tore up in here. I use it as a storage room. Right? Got some musical instruments in there. Fabric. There's that rack with all my costumes on it. I gotta set up a website. Whoops, sorry. Gotta set up a website and try and start selling these things off or something. I've had this stuff here for a very long time, people. That's all fabric. I've got fabric in there too. And then you can see I'm going through this stuff in here. Right? I'm going through it.